Mr. A. Sahasranaman, first chairman Finnish Society. Mr. Sahasranaman is a former IAS officer from 1973 batch. He has served in various positions in the government of Jammu and Kashmir, including a stint as secretary to the government and of the Divisional Commissioners, Jammu Division. While in the IAS, he served as the first executive director of the Council for Leather Exports, an industry run export promotion organization sponsored by the Ministry of Commerce, Government of India. To mark the 15th anniversary of Finnish Society, his guidance and leadership to the Finnish team is invaluable. In an exclusive interview commemorating the 15th anniversary of the organization, he shares his thoughts on how he steered the ship as the first chairman. Welcome, Mr. Sahasranaman, and thank you for giving us your time for this interview. Can you please share some of the key decisions you took to give shape to Finnish Society as the first chairman of the society?
Unique project in as much as even though the project wanted to create some 5 lakh sanitation facilities or toilets in rural areas of India, it had no intention of directly funding those projects. But the project wanted to create the environment required, including motivating the beneficiaries, motivating the financial institutions, and also training the builders of these facilities, etc. So it was only ready to fund these things, fund these subsidiary activities, so that money was available for construction of toilets. I was a little apprehensive about this in the initial stages. I was wondering whether our rural area people will be willing to take a loan and construct a toilet. But then, after discussions with various people involved, we came to the conclusion that yes, there is an unmet demand in the rural areas, and there were people who are ready to take money from some of these MFIs or banks, and also a little grant from the government, and construct such toilets. So this was the early days of Finnish project when we thought of it. Right from the start, the prime mover of this project, as you know, is Valentin Post of Netherlands, and he also got funds from Netherlands. And I were of the view that if we started a project like this with foreign funding, it is absolutely necessary for us to create an entity, a legal entity in India that could not only absorb whatever was coming through the project in terms of technology, in terms of expertise, in terms of various experts coming into the country, etc. And once the project's life ended, all these wealth of knowledge and expertise would not be lost. And we would be able to carry on such activities and some others in future. So it was with this intention that we thought that we would create a society that would be responsible, that would become the repository of all the knowledge and all the expertise that would be transferred during the implementation of this project in the country. So this was the basic idea for creating what has come to be known as the Finnish Society. First of all, when we thought of creating a society like this, we were aware of the fact that the society must have all India reach. So we established a society under the Delhi Societies Act with representatives as members from 7 or 8 states, including UP, Haryana, Rajasthan, West Bengal, Punjab, and a few others. So basically our idea was the society, even though was headquartered in Delhi, its operations would reach to almost the entire country through this society. As far as the funding of the society is concerned, initially, when the project started implementation, many of the project activities could be farmed out to the society for implementation. Activities such as training of masons, sensitization campaigns against, for encouraging the rural population to go for this kind of facility, then, communication, then interaction with the government, interaction with various financial institutions. All these activities, could be farmed out by the project authorities to the society to be carried out. And therefore, in the initial years, the society was getting nearly 90% of all its funding requirement from the project fund itself. But we were aware right from the start that a foreign funded project like this will have only a limited life, maybe 4 years, maybe 5 years, maybe 6 years. And after that, the funding would stop. And unless the society that we created would be able to create its own source of funding, apart from the project funding, the society would not be able to survive after the project life. So this was the idea. And therefore, right from day one, even when there was funding available from the project for its activities and survival, the society started looking for other sources of funding, like approaching state governments for organizing training programs, approaching state government for doing similar activities like sensitization, etc., etc. And therefore, over a period of 4 or 5 years, until when I was the chairman of the society, from a dependence of 90% funds on the project, we reduced this dependence to nearly 50%. So this was a major, initiative that we had taken. And eventually, when the foreign funding stopped for this project, after about 6 or 7 years, the society was completely capable of raising the resources required for carrying on its activities. So this was possible only because of our initial thinking and initial activities in creating the necessary infrastructure for raising funds from various sources. So that is the start of the society.
Yeah, thank you very much, sir. That was really nice for Finish, no doubt, to become self-sustainable. So moving to the next question, can you give a short account about your first meeting with the co-founders, Mr. Vijay Atre and Mr. Valentin Post?
Well, it's quite interesting. As much as Valentin Post was a part of my team from 1995 to 1998, when I was implementing a very major program of the UNIDO in Southeast Asia. In fact, that program was covering about 7 or 8 countries in this region, including China, Bangladesh, Indonesia, Nepal, India, Thailand, Philippines, etc. Our headquarters was in Chennai. So Valentin came and joined me as a raw hand. In fact, he was just 30 years at the time. And I was the regional program coordinator for the project. So we worked very closely for the first 3-4 years, after which his term ended and he went back. Later, he again went on his own on a different UNIDO project to Sri Lanka, where he was implementing a similar project of what we are doing. And then again, our cooperation continued. So this continued until 2002 or so. Then in 2008, when he wanted to start this project and he came to Chennai, one of the first persons he met was me. So he wanted me to take over the implementation of the project and become the project director or whatever. So at that time I was very busy with some other activities, some other major projects of Government of India. So I told him that I could at the most be a part of the governing body, but I cannot be the director of a project of this nature. But then I suggested a name, another dear colleague of mine who was available at that time. And Valentin was happy to take him. And he became the project director in the initial stages, Mr. S.D. Bhavi. So at that time, Valentin asked me to meet Mr. Vijay Atre, who was also with him in conceiving this project. So I took a trip to Bangalore. At that time, Vijay was the vice president of Tata AIG Insurance. And in a small room there in his office, we had a nice chat. And we discussed the same issues, like, whether we will be really able to motivate the rural tanners to take money from the MFIs, etc., and put up toilets, etc. But then we thought we would give it a try. One great advantage of Vijay was that when he came and joined the project, along with him, he brought a handful of real good people. One of them being Abhijit Banerjee, Then they got Saurabh Bhagnivotri. Then there was another gentleman named Saurabh Pandya, and one or two others, a group of 4 or 5 people. So they formed the core of this project when we started implementation. So this is how I met both these gentlemen. And in fact, I have been with them right from the start of the conception of this project and its implementation.
Very interesting, sir. Thank you. Could you share some challenges that you faced and how you gave shape to Finnish society in its formative years?
One of the major challenges that the society faced, as also the project itself faced, was in 2010 or 11, I'm not exactly sure, but suddenly in some states, especially in South and East, like in Andhra Pradesh and Orissa, some of the politicians raised a big hue and cry over the matter that the MFIs were charging exorbitant interest from the poor people, and therefore they should not be encouraged. Now, the basic foundation of our entire project concept was that the funding of these toilets will be done through loans from MFIs. And therefore, when these politicians started doing this, many of the beneficiaries were taken loan from the MFIs in these places. They simply refused to pay back. And this was a real major challenge for us. Of course, it was not spread all over the country, but in some pockets of southern India and eastern India, where it was really picking up very fast. Our own project was picking up very fast. So, but fortunately, RBI intervened, and there was a committee called Malegam Committee, if I remember correctly, which went into this issue, and they came up with some recommendations and some guidelines for operation of MFIs, telling them, how much they could charge for what purpose, etc., etc. And therefore, a kind of a cap was put on the interest that could be charged by MFIs. And once this problem was resolved, then implementation of the project didn't have much problem, but there's an external problem. Internally, we had another major serious challenge. Initially, we thought that we would implement the project with the help of a handful of MFIs, which are large, and which had the financial muscle also. So one of these MFIs we had chosen was from Orissa, a very big MFI. It had a lot of reach in not only Orissa but also many other states. And this CEO of this MFI was willing to take more than 30 to 40% of our target. If our target was 5 lakh toilets, he was ready to do 2 lakh toilets himself. So in a way, we were very happy, because we thought that, if a single agency could do this, then our project will move fast and easy. But after a while, we started getting information saying that much of the data that he was providing was all wrong and not reliable. Then the board of Finnish Society decided that a team consisting of Vijay and me would go to the state and verify the various data given by him. And as a result of our investigation, we concluded that it would be best in the interest of the project and society itself to discontinue with our association with this particular MFI. It was a big shock to us, because nearly 40% of our target was being met by this party, and suddenly he's off, and therefore we had a setback. But then that also gave us a good opportunity to reinvent ourselves, in that our original idea of trying to do this project with the help of only 4 or 5 major MFIs, we revised. And we then decided that we'll go in for medium to small MFIs spread in different parts of the country. And our number of partners increased from 5 or 6 to 60 in a matter of about 3 months' time. That was a very, very important change that we introduced in the project, because of which the project implementation had become not only smooth, but also it has become widespread and widely known. So this was a major challenge that we faced at that time. Apart from that, issues like creating the credibility of the organization itself. Now, Finnish society was a new entity. Nobody knew what Finnish itself is, and nobody knew what Finnish society was. And therefore, establishing your credibility with especially government organizations, various, rural development departments, then the microfinance institutions, banks. It was a major task which, our early team members did out admirably. Then, we had this uh, such a, then building the capacity of the society in terms of personnel. That was another very important thing. Initially, we started with about 10, 15 people. But today, I understand there are more than 300 people working for Finnish society in different parts of the country. So slowly building it block by block, selecting the right type of people, giving them the right type of training, support, all these things, took time. And so this was also a major challenge of the society as we went along. More important also is to become a legally compliant company. That's also very, very necessary. So Finnish society has been regular in its annual, reports and reporting to various agencies, etc. So, not last but not the least is the creation of a cohesive team. See, a team that understands the basic purpose of the organization and that was ready to dedicate itself to achieving those objectives. This cohesion in team building, it was also a very important challenge that we were able to meet to an extent. And post my term as chairman of the society and also Mr. Bhave's term as the project director, etc., Abhijit Banerjee took charge as the director, project director. And he and his close team members, including our friend Saurabh Agnihotri, then there is Sneha, and many other regional leaders, including youngsters like you, who have been responsible for creating this organization into a vibrant, lively organization today. Today, Finnish is known, pretty well known in different parts of the country, right from Kerala to Kashmir. And the credit for this goes entirely to the present team under the leadership of Abhijit. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you very much, sir. Yeah, some of the very key insights you gave. That's very, very interesting. So how would you envision the future of Finnish society in coming 5 years?
Look, any organization has to evolve with changing times. In 2008 and 2010, establishing toilets was the major challenge. And thanks to our Prime Minister, Shri Narendra Modi ji, and his vision, today we can claim that India is almost, open defecation-free society. So, if not 100%, you can say more than 90% in the entire country. This is a very, very major achievement. Now we have to see where we go from here, both as a society and both as a Finnish society and also as a society itself, the Indian society. So one of the focus areas where we are also involved and the government is also involved is in promoting the concept of circularity. That is, basically, whatever waste is created must be fully used and nothing should be thrown in the atmosphere to contaminate the atmosphere. So under the circularity concept, I think in Ooty, our project has done a remarkable job in converting the fecal sludge into manure. And that is being, I think, a much valued manure in that area. We have also been successful in creating gas generation units in different points. These gas, the biogas can be used for cooking in the rural areas, etc. This is also another area that we have done. We have not only been restricting our activities only to the sanitation net. We are also looking at other solid waste that are generated in semi-urban and rural areas. And we are seeing in what manner we can convert them into useful byproducts. And we have been successful in also converting other dangerous waste like plastic waste into useful byproducts. So this is another area where we have to concentrate and focus our attention. What is the main strength of the society today? The main strength of the society, if you ask me, is these more than 300 people, well-trained people, dedicated people who are in different parts of the country and who are willing and raring to do whatever challenges are thrown at them. So, my own feeling is, apart from the basic activities which the society started, we must look at other needs of the rural society in the country. Like, for example, rural water supply has become a major issue. We have already also involved ourselves in some of these projects, but we could expand our activities in this area. Rural sustainability is another major objective. For example, there are a lot of government projects that are available for creating self-help groups of needy women. Now, we have also ourselves facilitated in creation of some self-help groups. I had visited one such group in Jaipur, and these groups were making some useful products, and they were able to sell it in the market, and they were able to make some money for themselves and carry on their activities otherwise. So this kind of promoting self-help groups to achieve some kind of a rural sustainability is also a very desirable area for Finnish. Training rural youth for taking up entrepreneurship, not only in areas connected with our solid waste use, etc., but in other areas, and also in employment. If some rural youth could be trained for gainful employment anywhere, that will also be a very good activity for the society to focus on. Likewise, in fact, one of our project managers was focusing on it, training the rural youth in athletics and sports. I think it was Abhishek Chaudhary who was doing this project in Bihar. That produced a very dramatic research. And this is an area where, again, we can focus on. So basically, my point is that while our core strengths will remain sanitation, solid waste utilization, circularity, etc., while we must continue to focus, at the same time, we must also look at these various opportunities that are available in different rural areas and involve ourselves in this so that we become not merely as a sanitation man, but as a generally developmental organization. So I am sure that some of our field executives are doing wonderful job in these areas, and I am sure that we will pick up along these lines. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. I will.